Top free agents have decided to sign with WWE over AEW. We're going to talk about that plus so much more. It's all coming up right here on the Ango Show. Yes. Welcome back to the Ango Show, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, we're live Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern. We talk about Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite. It's the show that is curated for you guys, the audience. We have live chat. It is incredibly fun. Make sure you guys join on today's episode because we have to talk about the mess of AEW Dynamite. With that being said, let's just jump right into it. Kurt Angle has been announced for Game Changer Wrestling. GCW has announced that Hall of Famer Kurt Angle will appear at their Dream On event, which is taking place at the American Dream Mall in East Rutherford, New Jersey, on November 23rd, 2024. The show also features Matt Cardona, Mance Warner, Effie, Joey Janela, and many other GCW stars. Zilla Fatu is also on there. Sonny Kiss, formerly of AEW, Speedball, Mike Bailey, Megan Bain, Masha Slamovich. I mean, you're going to see some people from different promotions here. It's a big one. For those who don't know, the American Dream Mall is the second largest mall in America behind Mall of America, which is obviously, you know, really big. But this is huge, man. Kurt Angle, WWE Hall of Famer, showing up in GCW. Brett Lauderdale is doing it again. He's bringing in big names to GCW, and surely it is helping. I think, personally speaking, it would be really, really cool to see Kurt Angle get active again. It would be really cool to see Kurt Angle get physical again. But the reality is, it is very unlikely. Now, we will see what GCW has planned for Kurt Angle at the event. But this is pretty exciting. It's November 23rd. Just a few days before Thanksgiving. And look, for GCW being a smaller company, a lot of people talk shit about GCW. Sometimes you hear some shit talk online about their finances, but they bring in some pretty big names every so often. And GCW is kind of like its own little niche, you know? Like, I feel like a lot of people who watch GCW have a loyalty tied to GCW, which is so cool and so unique in today's wrestling world. Obviously, Kurt Angle, I'm a huge fan of him. And look, there's a lot of cool things happening in GCW, so that's why I would love to see Kurt Angle get physical in GCW. It's just the fact that the likelihood of that is, well, it's very little. I will say this too, as a little bit of a good thing. If you guys want to watch the event, it is broadcasted on Fight TV Plus. I do think a lot of people forget about that, but Fight TV Plus is pretty damn valuable, especially when you can watch all these GCW events. So if you're not going to be able to make it, it's not a big deal. You'll be able to watch it live on Fight TV Plus live. Matt Riddle talking about coming back to the WWE. I thought this was incredibly interesting. He spoke to Steven Muehlhausen of Sports Illustrated Takedown, and he says, the chances of me going back, I think they're extremely high. If CM Punk, who filed a lawsuit against WWE and then raked them through the mud for a decade, then goes to the competition, I'll tell you this, if he can do that, everything can be forgiven. I know I wasn't the easiest to work with at times. I think the door is always open. You know, this is interesting, man. This is super interesting. We know Matt Riddle's going up against Tom Lawler soon. They have a no holds barred match at MLW Fightland. But like, here's the thing with Matt Riddle, and I've said this before, Matt Riddle is a talented wrestler, talented character, but there was a lot of stuff happening with Matt Riddle in the public eye that I think was very, I mean, first of all, it reflected poorly on him first and foremost, but then also as a company, it does reflect poorly on them too, right? I think, you know, it is never say never. You can literally never say never in pro wrestling. I feel like Matt Riddle at some point will be brought back to WWE. I don't think WWE will be in a rush to bring back Matt Riddle. I don't think WWE is eager to bring back Matt Riddle. But if they do ever decide to bring him back, I think it's very likely that they would bring him back as a big deal. And, you know, we can sit here and debate all day, but Matt Riddle was over. You know, and the RK Bro thing was over. Like, this was a guy getting reactions. This was a guy that was welcomed in by the WWE universe. He was one of the NXT call-ups from the black and gold era that went to the main roster. And, you know, it's pretty rare that Vince McMahon makes a call-up and then actually does something pretty well with them. but it is true. Vince McMahon did do some big things with this guy. And then, of course, Triple H did as well. I think the big thing about Matt Riddle is whether or not he is reliable. And I think that's the biggest thing. If you look at CM Punk coming back, you know, it does seem like CM Punk has made an effort to really be different, perceived differently from the way that he was perceived in AEW. You know, a lot of people could talk about the backstage stuff, but the way CM Punk was perceived was that this guy would not get along with people backstage in WWE. And that's obviously not the case. It's very clear that CM Punk, you know, he's been able to make amends with Triple H and all the others. Matt Riddle, he was bumping heads with Goldberg, and he was bumping heads with Roman Reigns and other talent. And I think, you know, if WWE brings him back, they're going to want to see a different version of him. And I don't know Matt Riddle personally. I've met him, but I don't know him personally. I'm not going to sit here and say this guy has made change, but he's obviously still in pro wrestling. He's staying active. So if he's a changed man and WWE wants to bring him back, I could see it very well happening. Again, you literally can never say never in pro wrestling, especially with Triple H, who seems pretty damn consistent with rebuilding relationships. And that brings us to Motor City Machine Guns. Guys, I'm going to talk a lot about this on the live stream in depth because there is literally so much to discuss. But PW Nexus revealed today on Twitter that sources close to them have informed them that Motor City Machine Guns are WWE NXT bound, with their debut potentially as soon as NXT's CW premiere. They are working to reach out to other sources to confirm, but at this time, it's been said that they are headed to WWE NXT. Also, some really other interesting news about this is that there is this belief that they did, in fact, have talks with AEW, and those talks did fall apart. Now, like I said, I have a lot to say about this. So if you guys do not show up on the live stream today, you might be missing out on some very big details. There's only so much I can get through in this kind of video. But what I will say is this: Motor City Machine Guns are incredibly talented. And we saw AEW Dynamite Casino Tag Team Gauntlet match, and they didn't show up. They didn't show up at All Out. They didn't show up in All In. I think it's pretty clear where they're headed. On my live stream the other day, I talked about Motor City Machine Guns being slated for WWE NXT and how I think they will show up on the CW debut. So look, these guys are great. There's a big reason why I have now decided to endorse the idea of them going to NXT. Forget about the main roster. Forget about AEW. If you want to hear more about this, come to the live stream. I'm going to tell you guys why Motor City Machine Guns going to NXT is the right decision. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss out on that. I know for a fact you won't want to miss out on it, but it's huge. It's absolutely exciting news. A big win for WWE, a big loss for AEW. Both companies, they lack in tag team wrestling focus. Right now, NXT seems to be the one that is going to take the cake, and that is absolutely massive.